to the Achieving the Dream 2014 Implementation Plan webinar. I'm Sarah Hollister, Associate Director of Programs here at Achieving the Dream. And we're going to do the webinar today, and we will walk you through what to expect on the implementation plan. First, before we get started, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Melanie Mulvey, Assistant Director of Programs here at Achieving the Dream, to walk us through some of the technology in case you happen to be new to our webinar format. Melanie?
Thanks, Sarah. So I'm going to walk through some tools that help us keep this webinar interactive. So first of all, you should see the control panel pictured on your screen right now. If you don't, it's probably because it's been minimized. So you can pull it back out by going to the Grab tab, which is indicated by the letter B on the screen, which has and shows the control panel. There's also an attendee list where you can see all of the participants on the call, and you can see if your colleagues are also on the webinar. If you have a question at any point, you can raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon on the control panel, and we will unmute your line so you can ask your question. Another way is to participate through the question pane, and that's D on this slide. You can type your question in the question pane, and I can either read it out to the group, and we can answer it there, or I can respond privately. So all of the panes on your control panel can be expanded or minimized by clicking on the plus or minus button at the top left of each pane. And keep in mind that in the past we have had some audio trouble. So if for some reason you're having difficulty being heard, you want to make sure that you're not muted on your personal phone or laptop and that you've entered the audio pin provided to you at the beginning of the call. If that doesn't work, you can either message me privately through the question pane and I can resend your pin, or you can hang up and call back in and be sure that you enter the audio pin. So just to test that everyone can see where to ask questions, I'm going to ask everyone to practice raising their hand. So if you could please click on your hand icon just so I can see that everyone's control panels are working. All right, one more second. Great. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so it looks like everything's working, so we're going to keep on going.
Great, thanks, Melanie. Today in the room we have several folks with us from the Achieving the Dream staff to answer your questions about the implementation plan. And so you'll be hearing today from Melanie, who's helping us facilitate our technology, Julia Lawton, who is an Assistant Director of Programs who focuses in on colleges in their first 3 years of Achieving the Dream, Meredith Hatch, Associate Director of Programs, and you might also hear from Lori Heacock, who is our Director of Data Services. Sorry, didn't have your title at the tip of my tongue. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the annual college progress site, and this is the place on our website where you can get all the information you need to complete and submit your implementation plan. We're going to go over a little bit about the purpose of the implementation plan and the different components that make up the plan, and then again talk about how you can go ahead and submit the information, and of course be sure to have plenty of time to answer any questions you have or hear any comments you have. You will note that this webinar is being recorded and will be shared with everyone later, so you will have access to these slides as well as to a recording. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Julia now to talk about the annual college progress site.
Thank you, Sarah. So on your screen at the moment, you can see our new annual college progress website. This houses all the information and the documents that you need in order to complete your implementation plan. So once you've navigated to the site, which is achievingthedreams.org/annual college progress, you will see a Year 1 2013 college cohort link. And if we ask you to click on this, and it will take you to all of the documents and the instructions you need for your implementation plan. So once you've clicked on that link, it will take you to the screen that you can see now, which shows a table that defines the components that you need to complete, along with a due date for each component and some instructions on how to complete each component. So if you click on, for example, the implementation plan template, it will take you to the next screen, which will open a new web page in your browser, and you can download this document by clicking on the download button on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. You can do this for all of the documents on the previous page, which includes instructions, the example implementation plan, and the template.
Thank you, Julia. This is Sarah again, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about why we have colleges complete an implementation plan. The implementation plan is really an opportunity for colleges that are completing their planning year to take what they've learned through data analysis and discovery and create a plan of action for increasing student success. So at Achieving the Dream, we really believe that to increase student success on a large scale, colleges need to fundamentally rethink how they're operating and serving students. So because of this, we have redesigned the implementation plan template a bit this year to help colleges focus on 3 key concepts. Planning for systemic institutional transformation, in addition to specific student success interventions, identifying improvement interventions that have the capacity to be scaled to a large number of students, and developing a plan that is guided and informed by student outcome data and stakeholder collaboration. And that will also include an ongoing evaluation of progress. So in the implementation plan, each college will have the opportunity to set certain priorities, and these priorities will be based on your analysis of your student outcome data. And so this ongoing evaluation really is a cycle. I've included the ATD model of institutional change visual here for you, and that is to show you that this is really an ongoing cycle, and so we want you to think about how you will continually monitor your actions to determine whether they're getting the results or not that you would like. Now I'm going to turn this over to Julia, who is going to talk about the implementation plan steps.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So there are 4 key steps to the implementation plan, all of which have different deadlines. The first of which is the Principals Assessment Survey, which we ask that you administer to various stakeholders involved in your student success work. And we ask that they fill out this survey by April 2nd, so that Achieving the Dream can provide you with a summary of the results that will help inform your plan, your implementation plan narrative. The second step is to complete your draft implementation plan. This is due on April 24th, and your coach will review this and provide feedback to you to help strengthen your final implementation plan. Third step is to complete the intervention showcase. This is an online searchable tool that Achieving the Dream has developed, and you can access it on our website via the Resources tab. We ask that any interventions that you propose to implement this year, you also enter this information online for our intervention showcase. And then finally is the final implementation plan. This is due to Achieving the Dream by May 22nd. We will then discuss this plan with your coaches and provide you with feedback in early fall. So we're now going to look at each of the steps in a little bit more depth. So if we start with the Principals Assessment Survey. As I said previously, we ask you to administer the complete online survey to a range of stakeholders involved in your student success work. Please make sure when you send this to them that they are aware of the submit button at the end of the survey so that we actually receive their results. Once we have received the responses, we will aggregate these for each of the colleges and send a report of the results to the core team lead, which will then help with your implementation plan narrative. So the online survey is due by April 2nd, and we will try and get responses back to your core team leader by April 11th. So the implementation plan narrative has a range of sections that you can see now on your screen. We are going to talk in depth about some of these areas in a few minutes. But as you can see, the deadlines are on your screen as well. So the draft is due on April 24th, and the final is due on May 22nd. Each of the components of the implementation plan is designed to help your college describe its planning year process and to identify the action that you're going to take in the coming academic year. So now we're going to talk in depth about some of the components of the implementation plan. Sarah?
Yeah, and I just want to pause for a second. I realize we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with seeing the slides. So I'm just going to hold on for just a quick second and see if we can troubleshoot a bit. I'm really sorry about the technology. Hold on one sec. So we're going to just pause the screen for a sec and see if we can get ourselves back online here. Yep, that's good. There you go. Perfect. So I think that our technology problem was solved. Thank you very much, Melanie, for that, and I hope you all can now see the screen. Thank you for letting us know via the question team that that was a problem. So we're going to move on now and talk about each section of the implementation plan narrative with a little bit more detail. So the first section, of course, is the data analysis section. And as always with Achieving the Dream, your implementation plan should be informed by the data collection and analysis that you've done over your planning year, including who you have included in this data analysis process. Next section. Engagement. So we know that you've been working very hard to engage multiple stakeholders over the planning year. So we want to hear from you about what groups have been involved and what you have learned from them. This will also include who is involved in your data analysis process. What type of data did your teams look at? All of this information would fall under engagement. Priorities. So the priorities are really getting into the meat of what your action plan will be, and they should reflect your data analysis. It's important that the college focus in on the key areas where student success is lacking. And given this, we recommend that a college identify only 2 to 4 priorities, because each priority will have a variety of strategies, interventions, institutional policy changes, professional development, et cetera, that will be connected to it. So again, we recommend 2 to 4 priorities. Next. So, and then we have some proposed student success interventions. And the interventions are really your student success strategies. And this will all be interrelated to the priorities and to, again, the institutional policy changes and professional development. sustainability plans that you are also talking about in the rest of your implementation plan. Please remember that each intervention requires a detailed description and a plan to evaluate the intervention. Institutional policy changes. Again, Achieving the Dream has really found in our many years of doing this that to fundamentally change how students are experiencing college, that one thing that often needs to be done is to change some institutional policies. So this section in the implementation plan will be an opportunity to give a brief analysis of what you feel will have to be addressed on an institutional policy level and how you will plan to do this. Again, the evaluation plan is very important in order to assess how you are proceeding through your plan. So we ask that you set up a robust evaluation plan so that you can know at every stage whether you're being successful with your work or not, or whether you need to make adjustments. Another very important piece of this work is, of course, the communications plan. So, integral to increasing student success is making sure that the appropriate stakeholders are informed of your work. So this will be an ongoing communications plan. That is, how will you ensure that stakeholders are continually informed through many different ways about your student success work? How will you make sure that the students, the faculty, the staff will be receiving the information that they need about your work? And finally, of course, as you know, one of the most important pieces of increasing student success is making sure that the faculty and staff who will be teaching and supporting students have the tools and resources they need to do this work well. So we've provided a section for you to talk about how you will design and develop and implement a professional development plan. Your sustainability plan will be to make sure that this work becomes integral to the operation of your institution and that it's sustained beyond the initial implementation years. So it's very important to think about creating mechanisms to make sure that the work that you're doing endures even in the face of staff and possibly even leadership transitions. The priority work plans, a work plan is done for each priority. And the work plan is really taking your analysis and putting it into a concrete action plan. And it will incorporate all of the interventions, policy procedures, everything that is planned for the specific priority. Additional information. This section is merely an opportunity to provide policy changes, a communications plan, a professional development plan, a sustainability plan, et cetera, all driven by this priority, and they would all talk to each other. Oh, I was just informed that perhaps some audio got cut off, so sorry about that. I guess I'm going to repeat the last part, which is a good part to repeat because I think it's a very important one. That the point that all of these components in the implementation plan are interrelated. So, for example, if your data analysis showed a consistent achievement gap between African American students and white students, and you would set a priority perhaps to reduce this gap. So your proposed plan of action would include interventions, policy changes, a communication plan, professional development, and a sustainability plan, all driven by this priority. Just a few general instructions to note when you're completing your implementation plan template. Please consult with your coaches. I know you all are consulting with your coaches all the time, but they really are. They know your work in the detail of your planning over the past year and are your best resource. Read the application instructions carefully. Review the example implementation plan that we've provided. Answer all questions in the application. And please know that your institutional data should drive the priorities that you provide in the plan. And again, that the components are all related and can reinforce each other. And finally, I just want to make sure you know, please, to ask questions. If there's something that your coach can't answer, send an email to info@achievingthedream.org, and we will definitely get back to you as soon as possible. I think now I'm going to turn over to my colleague Meredith Hatch, who's going to talk about another piece of the implementation plan, which is the intervention showcase.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. So I'm Meredith Hatch, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the intervention showcase component of your implementation plan. As a reminder, as Sarah just mentioned, the interventions in her portion of the presentation, and we ask that you include the information about your interventions. It's okay if you copy and paste in the intervention showcase. The intervention showcase is an online tool that allows colleges and the Achieving the Dream Network to learn about each other's student success interventions. We're going to have a few more slides that talk specifically about the intervention showcase, show you what it looks like, and then provide a little bit more information about what you need to do to enter your interventions into the intervention showcase. So this screen, while it may appear very, very small on your screens, is a screenshot of the intervention showcase. If you haven't explored it yet, we recommend that you do so. Please go to the Achieving the Dream homepage, and you can either click on the intervention showcase under the Resources tab, or you can directly enter the URL achievingthedream.org/interventions. Here you see a bit about what it would look like if you were going to go to the intervention showcase and look for information on student success strategies for students who are ESL, ELL, or ESOL. You can select a focus area in the intervention showcase, and then there are filters on the right-hand side that allow you to drill down into the results. So the next slide shows you what happens if you click on a specific intervention. You get information about the description of the intervention, how long the intervention has been implemented, and some of the specific priorities and components that the colleges have chosen for a specific intervention. Next, I want to talk about entering information into the intervention showcase. So the intervention showcase is online. We'll be sending out instructions for how your college's core team leader can update the intervention showcase. And so what you'll do is you'll log into a website, and you'll see a screen like this. There is a field to enter an intervention description, and then there are additional fields, some of which are drop-downs, where you can enter additional information about information such as the population you're targeting with the intervention. Again, all you'll need to do, we'll send you specific instructions on how to do this, but you'll log in and you'll be able to copy and paste information from your implementation plan. The next slide shows the the field that you will enter the intervention description into. So the functionality is very much like Microsoft Word. You'll just be able to type the words in. You'll be able to add some formatting like italics if you wish, and then you will simply save the intervention.
Great. Thank you, Meredith. So I'm just going to go over the different components again, the steps to submitting your implementation plan. So the first one is the Principles Assessment Survey, which Julia talked about. So you can access the link to the online survey on the annual College Progress site and send this link to all of the stakeholders that you would like to complete the survey. And please do this by April 2nd. So you have your stakeholders complete the online survey. And then Achieving the Dream will synthesize the results of the survey and send it to the core team leader by April 11th. And then you will comment on this synthesis, this analysis, in your implementation plan narrative. There have been some colleges that would like their analysis before April 11th, and we're definitely able to accommodate earlier analyses if we are alerted by the college that all of the responses are in. So if you want to set an earlier date for your stakeholders and give us a go-ahead to do the analysis sooner, that's more than fine. We can get that back to you then sooner so that you can start working on it. In order to let us know about that, all you need to do is send an email to info@achievingthedream.org. So the next piece is the draft of the implementation plan narrative. So you can, again, access this template on the annual College Progress site. And in order to submit this information, your core team leaders will be sent a submission link via email by April 4th. And you will submit this, the link will take you to a submission site, and you'll submit it by April 24th. Then you will have the intervention showcase, and core team leaders will be sent, again, via email instructions by April 4th as to how to go about submitting this information online. And again, it will mirror exactly the information that you're putting in your implementation plan. And we ask that you submit this by May 22nd. Finally, the implementation plan narrative, the final version, is due by May 22nd, and the core team leaders will be sent a submission link via email again for this by May 1st. So the one thing I just want to point out as well is that the draft, once you submit your draft implementation plan, your coaches will be providing you with some feedback on this plan. So you can make any revisions you might need to before the May 22nd due date for the final version. So now that we've reviewed all the various components of the implementation plan and the submission site, we're going to open it up to questions. So just as a reminder, there are two ways to go ahead and submit your question. You can type your question into the question pane, or you can go ahead and raise your hand and we will unmute you, and you can ask your question on the air. Are there any questions? I think David Hartleb, I think you have a question. We're going to unmute you. Are you there, David?
I'm here, but I'm sorry, I don't have a question. I guess I didn't realize I'd raised my hand.
Great. Well, thanks so much for saying hello. Okay, any other questions about the implementation plan, how to go about completing it, how to go about submitting it? So while we're waiting for questions, I'm going to remedy something and introduce you to Rhonda Glover, who's actually on the phone. So she's joining us remotely. But I was remiss in not introducing her. She's our Senior Director of Data Coaching. So Rhonda, I was wondering if you might just want to say a little bit about the implementation plan and the importance of it for a college's ATD journey.
Certainly. Thanks, Sarah. First of all, it's great to have all of you join us today, and I think the ATD staff did a great overview of this product. And please know that the implementation plan is your plan. It's the work that you've been doing. It's the work that your coaches have been helping you with. It's the analysis of where your students are at your institution. And so we really want you to feel that you own it, and it's part of the work that you are committing to do to help your students achieve higher levels of success, and the work that you're going to be doing to help your institution be the most efficient and proficient that it can be to help your students remove obstacles and bring more and higher levels of success and close gaps. The resources on the website are great. The team that you're talking with are great. Your coaches are an additional set of resources that will guide you in many different ways. But we are all here to serve you and to help you. One thing I would say is engagement around this process is really vital and essential. It shouldn't be a small group of people who are doing this alone. It should be engagement around the process, and it shouldn't be a project. It should be something that is really integral to your college and aligns with your strategic plans, your accreditation, all of the efforts that you have underway. That's what this true student success improvement effort is about, and we are very excited to see your plans. We look forward to it.
Great. Thank you, Rhonda. Are there any questions, Melanie? No, don't seem to have any questions. We'll just wait one more minute to give folks a chance to either raise their hand or type in their questions. But if we have no questions within a few minutes, then we'll go ahead and wrap up the webinar. Oh, I think we have a question there. Manny, you should be unmuted. Manny, what's the last name? Mortazanos. Manuel Mortazanos, you should be unmuted if you'd like to ask your question. He knew it was a mistake. He was just saying hi as well. Okay. Okay. Any other hands raised, Melanie? Oh, I think we do have a question. Once the plan is completed and submitted, can institutions go forward to begin implementation? It's a great question. Rhonda, do you want to weigh in on how colleges proceed after the implementation plan is submitted? I know from Achieving the Dream standpoint, we will review it and provide the colleges with some feedback in a letter in the fall. But Rhonda, do you want to weigh in a little bit more about the next steps after it's submitted?
Sure. I would discourage you from moving forward with the draft level, because your coaches will be very, very helpful as they review your draft with you to talk about any potential changes. After you've submitted it to Achieving the Dream in its final form on May 22nd, then I urge you to absolutely to move forward. Whatever advice Achieving the Dream sends back to you in your feedback letter will probably not alter the course of your event so significantly that you would have moved forward in ways that are unerrable or unavoidable or unchangeable. So I think that we can feel pretty comfortable advising you after the final is submitted and you've worked with your coaches and you've consulted with them that it would be perfectly fine to begin during the summer, to have something available in the fall. We actually encourage you to do that.
Great. And Rhonda, while you're talking about that, maybe you can say a little bit more about if the college finds that something needs to be changed, kind of in the, later on in the 2015-16 year. What happens then? Can colleges change what they do?
Absolutely. That happens frequently, where you move down a pathway and when you put your plan together, we don't want you to feel that there is something that you would have to say to us, well, we kept going in that direction because we didn't think we could change it. We absolutely want you to take the results of year one or as you move into the progress and use all data, both quantitative and qualitative, to inform your implementation and to evaluate results. And if it's not going the direction that you thought that it was going, or if you've left something out, or if you found out something new that will contribute to it, we absolutely encourage you to work with your coaches and modify that. Each year, the intervention showcase, you will update what you are doing, and you will explain if you've modified your original plan. You will explain if you've decided that this intervention needs to now be for a very mandatory group of students. You will explain if this intervention now has some elements of it that are not contributing to the success of students. This intervention may have a new policy around it that you've discovered was a barrier that was unknown to you at the time you put together your original plan. So we definitely have room for you to make corrections and adjustments, and we encourage that as well.
Great. Thank you, Rhonda. I think we have a question from Velvina from Dine College. Dene College. You should be unmuted. There you go.
The question we have is this, so this PowerPoint is going to be sent out after the webinar's ended, or how soon will we be getting a copy of it?
Sure. We'll send out the, sorry, it seems a little loud there. We'll be sending this out within the next few days, probably by early next week, the PowerPoint presentation as well as the recording.
Okay. We actually have another question. We're serving on the data team, and we also have the leadership team. And we've noticed that some information from Achieve the Dream gets sent out to either or of the teams within the institution. And I wanted to know if this intervention plan or information is going to be sent out to both teams.
So the information was sent out to the core team leader. So whoever is designated as the core team leader for your college will get the submission link sent to them. The information in terms of the implementation plan, the example, is all posted on the annual college progress site. And we will also post a link to this presentation and a link to the recording on that annual college progress site. So that is your go-to place for all of the information.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
And just one more thing. Your core team leaders are our main point of contact for your college. So if you feel like there's anything that you may be missing or you have a question, I would say your core team leader is the first place that you want to go, because that's the person or people that we most often send communications to. And that's so that there's one person who can manage all the information that we send out, and also so that your inbox isn't flooded with ATD communication that might not necessarily be applicable to you. So I'd say go to your core team leader because most often they're the person who is getting that communication.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great. So I think we have one more question here. I think Manny's microphone wasn't working, so he typed in his question. And the question is if we had any suggestions for colleges to get a good response rate for the online principals assessment. That sometimes colleges don't, they have a low return rate when surveys are administered online. So I guess I would ask either Lori or Rhonda if you would be willing to kind of comment on that. Lori, do you want to take a shot? Sorry, we're just getting her a mic. There we go.
Hi, this is Lori. I think it's helpful if
the President sends out the request, if it seems like it's coming from above and understands the importance of that, that often helps to improve response rates. Also, if there's a convening that you're having, any kind of faculty forum or meeting or something like that, you can reiterate publicly the importance of filling that out. But typically that's helped the most if it comes from the top and it's perceived as a priority.
Great. Thanks for that suggestion. So, another reminder that we'd like to give you just talking about contacts is we did send out a contact update request to the core team leader, and this is the way that you can actually go in and update your contact information for Achieving the Dream. So it is important to keep that up to date. If you know you are a core team leader and you did not receive that email, feel free to send a request to info@achievingthedream.org, and we will go ahead and get you that information so you can update your contact information. Do we have any more questions before we go on? Any other questions about the implementation plan or Achieving the Dream in general? Great. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and end the webinar, but I'd just like to, first of all, say that we are here to help. If you have any questions, just send them to info@achievingthedream.org. Reach out to your coaches with questions. And secondly, I just want to thank everyone who participated in the webinar, everyone who prepared the webinar here at Achieving the Dream. Thank you very much for all your work, and we are really happy to spend almost an hour with you talking about your implementation plan, and are here to help you all the way through the process. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.